This episode of TRS is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook at audiblepodcast.com/totallyrad. Today on the show, we get some hands-on time with the upcoming game, Twisted Metal.
We are down in a lovely part of Los Angeles, California. We just walked out of checking out the Twisted Metal presentation, the reboot of the Twisted Metal franchise, which I just learned, I don't know if you knew this, is the longest running PlayStation franchise.
Now that they've rebooted it.
Right, I guess
mean,
94.
If they had never done this, then it would not
be.
Yeah.
But it's a big, I think, reinvestment in the franchise. One of the franchises I played a lot of. I think you were even a bigger fan than I was.
Yeah, I really did play a lot of Twisted Metal. I remember listening to the Mission Impossible 1 soundtrack and playing the rooftop level of Twisted Metal 1 over and over and over and over.
That's
again.
hilarious.
I loved it.
Well, Jaffe just gave us a big presentation, and I got some hands-on. I mean, we could talk about some of the things that they revealed, such as new cars. There's a big semi that has like this awesome spy hunter / Knight Rider thing where you two of your teammates can pull into the back of your semi, and then they get to man turrets, which are super powerful.
There's a bunch of co-op elements to the game.
Yeah.
You can fly a helicopter, and you can magnetize opponents, pick them up, take them up to the sky, and drop them down. But you can also magnetize your friend and then be like these two like birds in the sky shooting things down. So
that sounds kind of rad. Yeah. The one thing that we did not get was that teaming up aspect to it, because we had headsets but they weren't communicating, and I feel like this game will be a lot of, okay, you do that, I'll do this.
Totally.
But there's a freneticism that I think is inherent to the franchise that's still here.
That's the interesting thing about it. I will say, first of all, the controls were not very intuitive.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll go away in 5 seconds if we were at home. I mean, the nature of this kind of thing is we're just playing and you can't even learn anything. And the guy was like, I was like, what's back reverse? And he said, oh. I was like, no, double tap O. Like, oh yeah, I've ever double tapped O to reverse in a game before.
If we double tap square, that's terrible.
Not sure what the buttons are. So, right trigger shoots, bottom right shoots.
Right 2 is your alternate weapon, which is basically a pistol right now.
Okay.
But you can pick up a power up.
What is my main fire?
Main fire would be R2.
Yeah, I kept switching weapons when I intended to shoot.
Yeah.
And I'm sure all that will get worked out.
We'll figure that out, but it definitely isn't intuitive right off the bat. But what's also interesting is that we've come a long way in games, and this game is, as you said, very frenetic, and it's always at 11. It's always at that amped up pace. And we're used. What's fun is that Call of Duty, Gears of War shooters, multiplayer shooters. This is similar to those, but totally different. And we don't get to play multiplayer shooting games like this Twisted Metal. Yeah. That's really fun. However, because it's always at 11, there's no pace. I feel like I will be really fun for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then I may have enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's no like, hey, now I'm quietly stalking, and it's always just, where's he?
Who's next in my field of view?
Yeah.
I'm not choosing to attack anybody.
So it's not strategizing as much.
Shooters are kind of like that too, in a way.
Yeah, but you can I know if I wait in the roof, I can get a guy, or okay, now I'm sneaking, I hope he doesn't see me, or I'm gonna stab. There's just, I just feel like you can't help but feel some fatigue after doing it at that pace for that while. But it does seem fun, and I love when I see a guy and I need to get to him, I can just go through houses, destroy houses, the tree gets destroyed. It's fun to kind of barrel through things.
It definitely seems like destructibility of the environment is a big point that they wanted to hit in the design of the game. It feels a little flimsy to me. The whole thing doesn't have any weight to it.
I agree.
It doesn't look great.
I agree. In fact, it's not. I don't know if it's the blending of I feel like you see the seams of the game where the motorcycle guy he ignites his chainsaw by popping a wheelie and rubbing the chainsaw down, which awesome idea.
Agree.
But I feel like he goes like that, he puts the chainsaw on the ground, and now it's in flames. there isn't like an animation of.
That squirrel just threw something at us.
I know. What's that? The fungus.
Squirrel.
It's like, is it that
Everyone's
thing?
a critic. Everyone's a critic.
That was scary.
Squirrel.
Like someone doesn't
It's a
like
bird.
Someone doesn't like our reveal.
I thought it was those pesky kids.
Yeah.
They're not even there anymore.
He pops a wheelie, and then it goes on fire. Like there's no like blending animations between. It's just like this triggers that, triggers that, triggers that. There's not like a cohesion to it all.
Yeah, and going through a house is the same as going through a tree, the same as going through a fence.
Yes.
And, like there's nothing. It doesn't feel like physics. It feels like video game.
Yeah.
And so the whole idea of fighting through areas that are familiar to you, which is one of the things he kept saying over and over, is, you know, you're going to be in a swimming pool in somebody's backyard, you're going to be in a town square and going through the, you know, the high school gym and all this stuff, which is great in theory, but it never feels like I'm really out of place. It feels like I'm playing a video game.
Yeah. I agree. Totally agree.
And, you know, I love some of the addition of some of the fun vehicles. Like you said, the helicopter looks cool. There's a cool, this thing called the axle, which is these two wheels and they compress together as their special. That is really inventive.
And the magnet weapon. Yeah.
And what Jaffe said, which is what they want to do, and make this more like a fighting game, not necessarily a shooter, where you have certain combos that you want to accomplish. You have to charge up your super attacks when you're in certain places. I like all that. I just didn't feel like that came through in the 10 minutes, 20 minutes I was playing it.
Can I get a Fudge Frenzy, a Choco Taco, and a Sundae Cone?
I'm definitely less interested, less excited, I should say. Not less interested, less excited. But I'm hoping, I mean, it is such a unique experience. It's weird that we haven't really had another game like Twisted Metal since, I mean, there's been a couple, full auto, sort of,
right,
but not really. So it is a unique experience that I am looking forward to having in the next gen way, but it just wasn't a home run seeing it here.
Yeah, I agree, and hopefully what happens when you get at home and you have people and you're communicating and you have a set plan and you have a way of attacking the other team, maybe that stuff will really bring it together, feel more like a co-op
and
game.
even just if it's 1-on-1 or 2-on-2, where it's a little bit less mayhem and more like there's it gets to be a little bit more fun. Yeah.
So I felt it feels a lot like that old PS2 era game, but not in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, I think they wanted it to be a throwback, and it is a throwback, but it's kind of like, we've kind of progressed past that.
I'm feeling that a little bit. I'm a little worried about that.
Yeah, me too.
But
well, it comes out in October. I think October 4th.
Oh, it comes out soon.
Well, it's
No,
not
that soon. No, I'm sorry.
Fall. So we've got time. He talked about showing it last year's E3 and having bugs. There were certainly a lot of bugs on display here. We had several crashes and lockups. So there's clearly some design time, some polishing that's going to happen. Yeah. So hopefully the game will shape up really well. But like you, I have a lot of doubts at this point.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe we should get these jokes back here to punch it out with us. That stupid bird, squirrel, whatever you are.
All right, everybody, remember to stick around for This Day in Rad History, but first, our sponsor.
I always get so excited to talk about Audible.com. You can tell because I start turning the same color as my shirt.
I saw that.
That's excitement! And the excitement comes from being able to talk about audiobooks. I love audiobooks because I get to multitask. I get to do many things at once. And one of those things is to listen to books. Because, geez, who has time to read these days? I don't, but I do have time to drive around, to mow the lawn like I mow the lawn.
Yeah, it's like, when is the last time you mow the lawn?
Actually,
Moo the lawn?
There's a whole bunch of problems with this, but there's not a problem listening to audiobooks. I love it. I've had a great time recommending books to people. One book I'd like to recommend is called Perdido Street Station by China Mayville? I know I mess up his last name. We talk a lot about steampunk on this show. Steampunk, I think, a genre, very interesting genre. This is a steampunk book about a place called New Crobazon. It's like this mix between magic and steampunk tech. Really interesting, dark, really cool book I read a long time ago. It would be a great pick that you can pick as your free audiobook on audible.com by going to audiblepodcast.com/totallyrad and getting your free audiobook. I can't recommend audiobooks enough. I can't recommend reading enough. Give it a shot.
Booyah. Speaking of do good things, come back tomorrow, watch the show. What? Do good.
Don't miss tomorrow to find out what else is on our radar this week.
Today is April 19th, and on this day in Red History, 1987, The Simpsons premieres as a short cartoon on the Tracy Ullman Show.
Which I love. Did you watch the Tracy Ullman Show?
I loved it.
And I love The Simpsons.
Go home! Go home!
Dude, that was so much fun. And when The Simpsons, I was like, I love that. And then when they found out that it was going to be a television series, it was like,
Yeah,
mind
very
blown.
different.
Remember, it was
Very
very
different.
weird. They were weird,
They
right?
look a little
The drawings were like
harsher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like squares instead of circles.
And there was like, Homer sort of talked like this.
They hadn't found their voice.
No, not at all. Even the early seasons of The Simpsons, when you look back,
Yeah.
they still don't feel like that.
I remember the first time it premiered, and everybody was like, oh, is an animated show going to work in prime time? They haven't done it since the Flintstones.
Yeah,
You
and
know how
didn't
long
they
that
surpass
show-
the Flintstones too?
Oh, yeah,
It's
it's
the
like
longest
It's the longest running show. Like, I mean, look, this 87 is when it, you know. Anyway, that's at half a shandy. Thank you, sir.
Half-ass handy, I think.
No,
it
I
is.
like a shandy.